For those who know me, but you hear me speaking in English, because we have a guest today, we have to do this session in English. So my name is Cornel Popescu, I'm system engineer for VEEAM.
And I'm Tommy Popic for Exagrid. And some of you probably heard a little bit, you came over from our session yesterday. Some of you might know what we're doing, but for some of you it might be a repetition, but also we'll do some intro. But I'm going to talk why Exagrid and VEEAM is a very, very good fit. And we hopefully can demonstrate that also during this session.
Okay, so I will start this session and I'll pass the ball to Tommy, and he will pass the ball to me, and back and forth.
Many balls.
Many balls, many balls. So today we actually thought it's a good idea to show you guys a practical way of implementing data protection. So we are thinking to start with a good strategy. How many of you know a good strategy for data protection? Nobody. I know that you are lying because I know a few people in the room that know what I want to talk with you about. What is a good strategy in regards to data protection? And then we split this like because of different way how the applications are deployed, how the systems are installed. We split it like for virtual environments and for physical environments. Because for a while we didn't tackle the physical part. Now we have it, so I want you to understand it and to see how this is implemented with us. And basically we focus more on demos than slides, so I hope you enjoy this. So we start with this slide about the good strategy, and yeah, as I see it, nobody raised their hand. I don't know if you are tired or after the party or. So good strategy, we keep saying this, is no matter the vendors, we can be from different companies, but in the end you should achieve these goals because this will help you to restart, to recover, to be back online if you do like 3 copies, 3 backups on 2 different type of media. That means like flash and disk and tape and maybe cloud, and 1 copy offsite. That basically, in a nutshell, it's saying that if you take this approach, you will not be in a situation that, or risk that can affect a data structure, will make you, put you in the position that you are not able to recover. So if something goes on with one like major disaster, right, you will have the copy offsite. If something goes wrong with one application in one, or a disk drive, for example, and your backup are in the same disk drives, then basically you lost your production and backup copy, right? So again, yeah, if you combine and apply this to your environment, it will be easy for you to survive. Now, I have this question, and actually, we are always talking about how you should do backups and how you should like test this approach. But why are you guys interested in backups? Why are you doing backups?
For restore.
For restore. Yeah, thank you. For restores, yes. And yeah, I have a prize. Just. So yeah, keep giving us answering questions because we will reward you. For restores, I only have 1 slide about this because once again I want to move to the demo part. So we are talking about new technology which is called instant recovery. Actually, we came with this technology in the market a few years back. Now others have it. Keep in mind that VEEAM is a software company. Exagrid can provide the hardware. What I'm going with is to prove you guys that together we can provide fast recoveries. We can implement this good strategy, but also keep in mind we always want fast recovery, not fast backups. Okay, you might want fast backup as well, but the most important thing is fast recovery. So instant recovery is a technology that helps us start or recover virtual machine from the backup itself without having the need to wait for the data to be copied to the production. How do you think we do this? Anybody knows details?
Power on the backup.
Power from the backup. Exactly. So we created this copy. So this is a production. We have the backup in some other equipment, device, and in order to restore like instantly or really fast, we present this backup file for the environment, the production environment, as the environment understands it. Keep in mind that we apply compression, the duplication, all these technologies to reduce the backup file size. But when we do this presentation, the hypervisor here needs to understand it. And if he understands it, then he can power on just like a regular VM. And there you go. You started the VM from the backup. Now the main thing here, why, I mean, this presentation and everything, like, it's going to be really fast, like seconds, because there is no data copy. The most, I would say, the most time-consuming step is actually when you copy, you are not going to run from the backup like forever. You will move to production. But the thing is, this copy that takes a lot of time could be done with the virtual machine running. So first you recover, and then you move data. So you are operating again, you are running again. You don't have to wait until the traditional recovery model, when you basically copy the data and after it's done, you power the VM up, right?
Is there a limited number of instant recoveries that you can do?
I don't know if you wanted to ask me, like, I was waiting for that question, so I will give you like a prize like immediately. So, if you're a software company, is there a limit in software?
No.
No. Who is the limiting factor here? Hardware. Then you talk with this guy. Right?
We're a software company.
He's a software company. But I think I'm going to pass you the ball.
Now it's my turn, yeah?
Actually, hardware is not limited, probably the money.
You want something? How much money you got? Yeah.
One question please. Do you make some performance tests, because it's shooting here? One, usually backup storage is lower than production storage. Two things, backup is compressed and need to be online, decompress and run. It's two factors that slow us down a lot. And
I got to prove you wrong.
please.
That's what we're here, and that's what we're going to talk about. Everything is about availability.
Because
So-
from my point of view, problem is performance that you have on that VM, not necessarily how many VMs you power up on the
Okay, I
car.
have a few slides. Obviously, you didn't hear the session yesterday, no? No, we had it. There's a few slides I'm going to explain how we do it, and there's some performance numbers also I'm going to talk about. The whole architecture is pretty unique the way we do things. And the thing is, I'm just going to give you a few examples. Our architecture, it is built for high performance and at the same time store data efficiently. We do it at byte level. So we did a byte level data. We don't do hashing, we don't do blocks, we do bytes. So it's very aggressive and very efficient. But the way we implement it, it does have absolutely no negative impact on either backup or restore performance. How's that? We come with what we call a landing zone. So we let, in this case, VEEAM right to it. We don't do duplication, we don't compress. We take the VEEAM data and duplicate it. But we always keep the most recent data in its native format in what we call a landing zone. I'm just going to give you a few examples. So you are right with the other, let's say, competitors, friends within the industry or whatever you want to call it. But you are right mostly, because what they need to do, they only keep data in deduplicated format. So every time you do a restore, you need to rehydrate the data. And that's an extremely slow process. That is the one I've seen. I worked a lot with VEEAM several years. I've seen a lot of them putting it like what we call inline solutions from other vendors in there. And when you go out there and say, you know, VEEAM doesn't work because you can instant restore, and restores are slow. And we usually replace those kind of solutions in the market. Just to give you a few examples. I had one in Bucharest. He had an inline solution. He took pride. He had like a 500 gig. It took him 4 hours to do regular restore. He couldn't do instant restore. He'll question, why do you need instant restore? I did regular restore. It took 4 hours, 500 gig. We do it less than 10, because the reason why we don't do rehydration at all, because we got the native format in the landing zone. You know, and this is totally transparent from VEEAM perspective. VEEAM just see it as it is. It's totally transparent. And there's another, and we call it instant restore. Go back to this slide. I had a customer, so I'm based in Stockholm, I'm covering this region also, but I had a customer in Norway with security papers. Did instant restore on they had a virtual mail server, 700 gigabytes. And it's like Cornell said in the beginning, it went down, it got corrupt, so you need to do instant restore. And the purpose of instant restore, you get up and you should be able to run production. But he got it up and started to migrate. During this migration, which took 12 hours, you could do nothing. The mail was down. Tested Exagrid. We got up and migrated in 30 minutes. And during this time, the mail actually worked. And that's because of architecture. We're going to get into a little bit more about this architecture and the actual VEEAM integration. So, my slides. So, yeah, you probably haven't heard about us here. I mean, the company's been around since 2004, so it's been. So here, this is the first time here in Timișoara. We started up here in this part in Romania like only 1 year ago. Here, but we do backup storage. In the US, it's a pretty big company. Most of this is still in the US. So it's been at quite a long time in the US. So like you said in there, like the first like with generation backup storage came like 10, 12 years ago. Most of the time it was to replace tape. It was the easy way to shift data off-site in a regular way. You can replicate data. You cannot do that with tape in here. But there were some limitations to that. And that was, if you look at, they're pretty slow when you're talking backup and restore. There are other means of doing that. And also, as you grew and you had the capacity, the backup window grew. It got longer and longer and longer. You didn't have performance when you had it. And also, you talk like VEEAM, for example. You do instant restore. Like I said, other vendors also have the instant restore. It's hardly impossible to do. You know, you have some other things that you like sure backup based on the vPower also. It's extremely hard to do in there. With our solution, we address, you still get the benefits of all the deduplication on byte level, but we don't get the limitations in our solution.
What about the endpoint solution when you use a physical machine?
Yeah.
Where in that case, what's the case? How I can restore that? Because if I
I'll get that.
endpoint one, need media, boot media to restore the.
We'll get it. Yeah, we're going to address that one also. So you're a little bit ahead of me. That's the one? That one? Yeah.
We only got like great questions from you guys. Keep them.
But you know, the presents are limited, so.
What happens when during the restore the machine gets by mistake shut down? I don't know.
Your machine or
No. When you are doing the restore for the backup and the machine gets shut down by mistake by another driver.
you mean the Exagrid?
Yes.
Nothing. You need to do this. Redo the instant restore.
Does it get corrupted or something?
No. The way VEEAM instant restore does, it locks the backup file, and all the writes VEEAM instant restore. There's a write cache that's created in the proxy of the backup server. So you only do the reads, and the file is locked, so you can't get corrupted when you do this. So that's how it works. So we come with we call it the landing zone and retention loop. That's why we keep its native format, this landing zone here. So by having that, that's why you can do this extremely fast backup and restore. Cornell talked about restore fast, but actually we still get the backup performance is between 2 and 3 times the other ones for similar sized solutions in the market. It doesn't make a difference if you have a 5, 10 terabyte, but you get a 1, 200 terabyte, it does make a difference, this one. So, 2 zones. So when I talk like 10 terabyte unit, you actually get 20 terabyte. And this is not the physical limit, you can move it and adjust this landing zone, retention zone. I'm going to show you later. Move on to the demo. So, we still have the backup proxy deduplicate, so we enable the duplication and compression in VEEAM and store in the landing zone. And we deduplicate the compression an additional 80 to 90%. So there's a recovery tool, restore point simulator available on the net that you can actually use when you size straight disks. So I've done a few examples using the conservative settings on that one. And this is actual saving, doing byte level storage and comparison. This is what, you have a different scenario. So we actually compress the VEEAM, already VEEAM deduplicate and compress it an additional 8 to 9 times. Customers buy it, it's usually, they have a little bit longer attention, that's very common. Actually, I had one customer in Hungary, they had only 2 weeks of what anyway, because they want to replicate that. But you can, the numbers speak for themselves. So on a weekly basis, we say about 2% of full backup, monthly about 2.5%, 3%, and yearly backup is around 15% of the size of the full backup. So this is 100 terabyte. You can just divide it by 10 if you have 10 terabytes, but the numbers speak for themselves. So we have this integration in with solar. So when we scale, the difference between us and everybody else when we scale, we add a whole appliance into a grid. So today we can scale up 32 appliances in there. So we add an additional controller, we add additional compute resources, we add and disk resources and bandwidth for backup and restore performance. And that's a big differentiator between us and everybody else, the way we scale. So if you look at the other ones, like we talked about here in the beginning, when you scale, you don't add performance. The performance is fixed with the controller. So if you want faster performance, you can buy additional, but you don't get the global dedupe. Global dedupe that we have between the units is it increases, the efficiency increases with the amount of data. So it's between 5 and 15% extra on that one. So you lose that one, or if you want fast, you can buy a new one or bigger one, etc. in there. But here, no life, you just add up to 32 nodes. So we're talking about performance. I just not going to get into this one. But the largest unit we have, that's 13.5 terabyte. That's 3,750 megabytes per second, backup and restore. They're extremely fast. They do come with backup with 10 gigabit ports by default, but optional for 40 gigabit. So you're going to have this one at 13.5, of course, you're going to need 40 gigabit interface. Replication, we only replicate deduplicated data. I will not be able to demo that today, but it's very good. I think most of our customers use that, the replicated data offsite for a second copy. And we can do it to the cloud also. So, and I'll leave it to Cornell. Okay, I'm going to start. Okay, can you help me put it on? So I'm just going to show you the interface. I'll show you the VEEAM, and I'm going to show you the integrity. Here's a lot of red. This is an actual. Okay. Okay. So this is a lot of red. This is actually in the VEEAM office in here. It's a lot of red, like I say. So in this one, it's actually only one unit. It's a 7 terabyte unit. So this unit has 7 terabyte landing zone and 7 terabyte retention zone. This can be adjusted. So why is it red? This one is full. So what happens when it's full? It starts to write to the landing zone instead. So it's no limitation like that. What's happening is start to write. Backups go slower and slower and slower. That's what happens. It's very unusual that when we see that customers do have store more capacity than actually needed in their retention. So in this scenario, you would add another node. What would happen? All the data, which is red, the 3%, would be moved up to the new appliance and free up the space. The yellow means there are data that's being duplicated. It's still under duplication processes in there. And the green one, we have 84%. We can start doing backups on that one. So what happens? We still have all the backups in this green area in its native format in there. So and we start to write, it overwrites the latest data. So we keep about a week's retention. Yes.
Can you have two different types of appliance? One of
Yes, you can mix and match. We have like 7, not different classes.
necessary to be identical.
No. The only thing we need, we have encryption devices. You cannot mix non-encryption with encryption devices. That's the only thing. So you can mix any size.
So
into
that
this.
means only slash based?
No, we don't need that. We do, it's sequential write. No. So you can realize us in there. So this is my mode. So when we get in here, it's very straightforward in here. You can see deduplication. So what you do actually, you get in here. Okay, I need to get this one. So this is actually the VEEAM environment, so we're not allowed to do it. But you create this share pretty much. And that's pretty much the target. You create the share here, and you can select the name. So I'm going to do something. And then you can select VEEAM, let me see, where is it? I'm totally blind. There it is, yeah. So what we actually do here, we allow VEEAM to install or accelerate the data mover. And that's one of the reasons why I can do this extremely high backup and restore performance by having this very unique integration into this. The way we integrate VEEAM is very different from us. I'm going to get into that one when we get into the VEEAM interface. Okay, we need to create the share, and that's the target that we have. And the duplication is global between the shares in there. It's really straightforward. So you just see this as straight disk, And this is a report, so I'm not going to dig into that one too much. I just give you an intro to just see the interfaces in here. So if we move to the VEEAM environment, I'm going to show you what it looks like before I go to Cornell take over and show the instant restores and stuff like that on the Exagrid in here. So if we get into that, that's the storage, yeah. So here we have the Exagrid share. What you do, you should choose deduplicating storage appliance, and then you choose the Exagrid, of course. I want to point out, the integration is very different from us. They have like APIs that's integrated into VEEAM. They accelerate the backup. It does very little to do restore those. So it speeds up a little bit. Also, the difference is we're the only one with our integration can support physical backups. Those APIs do not work on physical agents. As you probably know, VEEAM support physical nowadays also. You cannot do that, and so that means that both backup and restore will be extremely slow with other solutions. So if you're considering it, always test it. We are more than happy to put a unit out so you can test it and back it up what I'm saying here. And you actually are the ones to do the same. So if you look here, I'm going to populate here. So you have, let's see. Yeah. So here you have 6.1 free. That is actually landing zone. We still have data back up in there, but we presented to them as free data. This total is actual capacity, includes the landing zone and retention zone. So the retention zone we keep like offline. We always is busy in here. So we just see it's like a normal disk in here. And the only difference you see in here, it's like this little E. So you can say it's an extra, but it's a 7,000 unit. So if we go to the VEEAM interface in here. Oh, sorry, do not now, messed it up. I'm going to do the backup interface, not the VEEAM interface. Where is it? There we go. So I go to the backup. I go to backup, and there we'll have the backup to Exagrid, and I do edit. The only thing what we do in here, that we set it up like a disk, set the credentials, name the backup in there, set all the VMs that you have in there. The other thing that we do, and you choose, of course, a backup repository, which is Exagrid. You get advanced here, in here. So here, we always use synthetic full backups, incremental, but on storage, we do not recommend optimal, because maybe that one. We do a dedupe-friendly compression. And we don't, I think there's another vendor that do that. And by doing this dedupe-friendly compression, we can still deduplicate just as efficiently. But it allows us to keep a week's worth of retention in the landing zone. But we still have the deduplication and everything included, enabled in here. So that's pretty much, and on a weekly basis, we synthesize backup. So we keep all the weekly incrementals on a full backup in there. So with that, I'm going to leave with Cornell. He's going to show you a little bit about VEEAM, and probably, show an instant restore or something from Exagrid. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. Did we answer your question about how many instant restore you can do in like the same time? No, I'm going to answer that. As a software, there's no limit, as it relies on the performance of the backup files and where they are placed. So now, if you have like a fast device like Deluxe, you basically can support a lot of instant restore simultaneously. If you need more performance, just add more nodes, just like this grid, right? This is actually, I'm going to say, I don't like to tackle competition. I prefer to talk about what we do. But there is a competitor out there that is claiming, yeah, we can do instant restores, but you have to use their device, which is kind of slow for restores. So that's why they limit on software to a limited number of instant recovery that they can do, right? But actually the limit is not in software, but the decision they have to work only with one storage device where they keep the backups, right? Is your question answered? Okay. What about yours, about physical?
About performance, the answer that I understand is use Exagrid and you will have no problem. But if I have a standard storage,
I think
is
if
lower.
we send this message is wrong. We say it never means that you will never have a performance issue. But if you size it properly, then it's more likely you will not hit a performance bottleneck. And the technology can help us to be fast, but of course if you run this over like a really slow network or, yeah, so, but the main performance problem when you do this is, of course, backup files are compressed, deduped, and when you actually want to do instant recovery, the data gets rehydrated, right? And if this is like already like in place in this landing zone, it's presented, that you will not have this.
Yes.
So most likely you will not have a performance issue, but I'm never going to say never. Okay? Okay, if you get this, you will never have any trouble. I know situation when, yeah, right? Did we answer your question? Yeah, okay. And it was somebody with physical agents. Yeah. Did we answer your question with physical? Not yet. Not yet. So, coming back here, coming back to the first like strategy, 3 to 1. So what do we need to do? Now we have a fast recovery, and basically we want to have backup performance, but also fast recovery. So we tackle that. Coming back to what we need to do in VEEAM in order to have 3 to 1 rule. We need to define a backup job and put the data into a repository, right? So to define a backup job, as Tommy already showed you, we define, this is a job. It's called VMware Backup to Exagrid, and basically we selected some VMs. So just here, there is a reason I use this. Does anybody know what I selected. So this is the source. These are the virtual machines I will back up. Anybody here knows what is this demo backup set? No idea, huh? Okay, I will give you a tip. So when you do add and select the source, you have few views, just like in vSphere client. The default one is host and cluster. So you will see the vCenter, you will see the host, you will see the resource pool, clusters, everything, right? So virtual machine. So a sysadmin is usually like, he knows this view, right? The cluster and the host and the resource pool and then the VMs. So you can select a VM, but you can also select like a pool or an entire cluster, right? Good. Second view is virtual machine and templates. And here basically you have the other way of viewing resources, and you have the folders and then you have the VMs and stuff. You also have the data stores. So you can put here like an entire data store, right? But there is another view, which unfortunately I think I have a problem with resolution in this environment. There is another one because obviously this is a vSphere tag. So how this works is you define tags for virtual machine vSphere client, and you say, okay, this virtual machine is database. And you can assign multiple tags to one VM. And this is also important. And this is for accountants. He's using that VM. So when you define these tags in vSphere, if you select the tag here, that means we'll back up all the virtual machines with that tag. So we have this demo backup set. You will see, actually you can see here, which because I've selected the backup job, so last run, it includes Active Directory, Oracle database, Exchange server, SQL, and SharePoint, and Lotus Domino. So like 5 VMs, they have this tag, they automatically get backed up with this job, right? Good. Storage, we're going to save the data, is, as Tommy showed, is exagrid, number of restore points to keep. So that will create the first backup. You will schedule it. I will skip guest processing because it will take a lot of time to explain. But you schedule the job, and there you go. You save it, and it will run automatically. Okay? Every day, 11 p.m., job gets executed. So this is the last run. When you select the job, you will see the last run of the job. Basically, it took 13 minutes to perform this backup. We had like this performance, and we had this bottleneck, like source. That means if we manage to increase the performance, like storage device that we are using in VMware, we'll get even more data. How much data we actually processed, how much data we read. Using change log tracking, we can identify only the changes, and how much data we actually transferred. Yeah, it was non-optimal setting with deduplication. We should be on dedup friendly. But with compression and dedup, we managed to reduce the amount of changes, right, to like 2.7 gigabytes. So we have a copy. We back up these VMs. You can also do. If I go in here, you see the other one is a backup copy job. So in order to create the third copy, and maybe on offsite, I use the same, looking at the name is backup copy to exactly, so I did it wrong. Don't take this, it's just a demo, don't implement like this in production. So I'm doing a copy to this device, and then I'm copying to this device again, just to have the third copy. Usually it's better to do it like offsite, right? So this is a backup copy job that copies the backup to the third location. So it's really easy to set. You go next, you add your backups, like jobs, and you can also have a glimpse right here. We also have some physical windows workstation, I will give you more details because I only have one copy for everything. We'll back up the virtual environment, we'll back up the physical, and then we'll create the copy, we take everything and put it like on the secondary side, right? So you just select where's the destination and compare with the standard backup job. When you do the copy, you have actually a schema of retention. So we can apply retention and archive this data, right? And we can keep it, for example, weekly backups. I want to have at least 4 weekly backups. So look at this, restore points to keep is 7. That means the latest 7 restore points I will definitely have there. But that means if I'm doing backup daily, last 7 days. Okay, can we change this to, okay, I want to be more easy to understand. I want last 4 weeks. So every Sunday, for example, to create a backup and keep it for 1 month. Yeah, just set it here. Yearly backup 5, that means at least 1 yearly backup. That will be performed, this is something I select, first Sunday of the year. I will create a full backup and keep it for 5 years. Right? So it's really easy. So there you go, it's 3 to 1, quite easy to implement. So anybody has any question about this? How you do backup and a backup copy job? No, okay.
Wait. I said another thing. This one needs to be clicked in the next version. Best practice. What does this one do? Especially when you do this. And it's a faster way to create these backup copies in here. Usually, like being when you do backup copies, they change every day. So it means when you create the weekly, you're going to synthesize all the weeklies. When you click that one in, it takes it directly from the source. So it creates this weekly or monthly copy much, much faster. You know, so that's one of the best practices also with VEEAM. And that is specifically for, that check is specifically for appliances, like backup appliances. So that one should be checked in the backup copy jobs.
Yeah, good point, good point. That's true. This should be there if the destination for backup copy job.
On the same appliance.
It's on the same appliance.
Yeah. So
It's
if you have
on
it
the
there,
same
you want
appliance.
to you don't want to send, if you have 100 terabyte, you don't want to send 100 terabyte at the same time.
Yep.
You know, and that's what it does, you know. So if it's the same appliance, you do, if it's on the remote site, you don't use it. So if it's on the same appliance, you get a weekly in there and you replicate the weeklies and monthlies. That's what you should use it. But let's say you do backup copy to a remote site, then you should not use it because you, on a weekly basis, you don't want, if you have 100 terabyte, you don't want to send 100 terabyte at one instance, you know. Then it's better to send it in increments and synthesize it instead. So on the same appliance, you check it. If it's a remote appliance, you don't check it.
Great. Any questions so far? Okay. So I'm going to speed up a little bit because this is discussion about virtual environments. We also had like one slide for the characteristic of virtual environments. I'm not going to spend more time to talk about this. You get the slides 5 minutes, okay? So I'm moving to physical environments. So as you know, we started with the product, with a free product. It was called like 2 years ago VEEAM Endpoint. Now we changed the name of the product in VEEAM Agent. And we made a promise back then and said we're always going to give you this free product backup Windows computers. And obviously now we have some licenses as well, but the promise was we'll keep this free version for everybody. So that is still the new product, which is VEEAM Agent for Windows or Linux, has this free version, so anybody can download it and use it at home, even at the office. But we also have these 2 licenses. The most important part is the centralized management. So as long as you don't need, for example, you only have 5 computers, just you can use the free version, no problem. If you have 100, that becomes a challenge because you have to install it on each computer individually. So as a backup admin or sysadmin, to travel to all these computer locations or laptops, right? It can be tricky. So we have this ability to manage centrally the agents. So that's for Workstation. And there is also Server Edition, which has the biggest, I would say, differentiator between the free and Workstation and Server Edition is the application word processing, where you basically we figure out that if it's a server, that means runs a critical application. Could be Microsoft application or Oracle database. So we try to do backup with the application online, not to shut it up, to turn it off. We want to create a backup. That's not possible. So in order to do that online, it's better to have like consistency with the application, right? Why? Because of recovery. Again, recovery, when you do the recovery, if you didn't have the consistency with the application, the first thing you need to do is like talk with the application and figure out a way to open that files, that application, and it will go through a check, it will close like, it will take some time, right? So in order to avoid that time, it's better to have the application aware processing. So in Server Edition, agent have this application aware processing as well. So in physical environments, applications run on hardware. Most of the applications have their own data protection tool. If you do like backup in the application, then it's quite hard to manage multiple applications. So if you use like a tool like us, like our agent, then you have to install it, right? And that becomes challenging with a lot of computers to back up. So recovery is challenging as well. You can do bare metal recoveries, and I'm going to answer now the question, if I want to recover a physical, I make like an image with your agent. I want to recover, where can I do that? How can I do that? So basically you need a hardware to do this, like replace the server, recover the server on the different system, right?
Can you do it in virtual environment?
Sorry?
Can you do it into a virtual environment, recovery?
Good point.
You got 2 more hours.
2 more hours. No. Yes, the answer is yes. You can convert this, if you have like a backup, you can restore it as a virtual machine. And with Windows 2000, keeping this in mind, if your hypervisor is Windows Server 2016, we are able to do instant recovery. So we present this backup file of physical system as a Hyper-V 2016 virtual machine, and you can use instant recovery with us. I don't know how many of you know this. For me, it's strange because I realize I keep this as a secret when it should be not, right? Everybody should know about this, but we don't talk about this that much. One of the things we can do, so once again, if you have a fast recovery, because of instant recovery and of a physical system, you can actually have this as well. So in demo, I'm going to keep you just 1 more minute. They show me like you're done. But I will keep you just 1 more minute to show you how easy it is with our agents. So we rename for you out there who are VEEAM customers. This inventory tab is new in 9.5 update 3. It used to be called virtual machines, but it has been renamed because we have now physical and cloud. So the first thing you need to do is to create a protection group, and this protection group is just a logical container. I'm going to make it fast. I'm going to use this Windows server which I created earlier. So it's a name. Sorry, I'm going to use different one. Windows cluster. Okay, let's use this one. So it's a name. You have the option to say, I want to add like individual IPs and install the software on these IPs, on these computers, I'm going to use the Active Directory. What that means is basically I'm going to have a query to Active Directory and ask for, can you give me the list of computer objects that resides in servers, organizational units, and workstation OU. So you just have to select the domain and browse through Active Directory and select your, for example, Timisoara and Deva and whatever structure you have in Active Directory. What that means, we are going to query this from time to time. You have the option to select how fast we do it. But if we detect a computer account that has no agent installed, we will install it. So imagine this, you have a protection unit defined, somebody gets hired, he gets a laptop, you add it to the domain, 2 hours later, VEEAM will detect that it's a new computer account, it will deploy the agent, and it will run the backup job in the evening, right? So, okay. This is, as I said, a computer object. You can ignore, you can say, you know what, if this is a virtual machine and I'm backing it up with VEEAM without the agent, don't install the agent. So you can exclude. It will ask for credentials, but I think I'm going to this one, which says, you should install the backup agent automatically and auto-update the agent, right? So that's really cool thing. All these VMs are in these containers, in servers and workstations, so they have the computer, the agent installed. And now all I need to do is to do a backup job for Windows computers, and I'm going to select this protection group. Yeah, I'm not. So, yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys like this session. Thank you for coming. And
if you want to see these at least, or if you want to see any more questions, just stop by. We're in the same booth, and the VEEAM booth is in the corner. That's not big off. So we have a demo environment set up there. If you want to see some more, if some questions, if something pops up, you want to please stop by.
thank you.